Slivers. One word that sends chills down the spine of every Magic the Gathering player. The ultimate hive mind. A swarm of alien creatures that share abilities, grow exponentially stronger with each new member, and exist for one purpose: consume everything in their path. But where did they come from? How did they evolve from Volrath's experiments on Rath to the Sentient Legion on Dominaria? What's the truth about their mysterious home plane? And why did Wizards completely redesign them in Magic 2014? This is the complete lore of Slivers, from their unknown origins to their appearance in the multiverse, from the Sliver Queen to the Sliver Gravemother, from mindless beasts to conquering hive mind. Every era, every story, every evolution. If you want more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Comment down below your favorite keyword to give all of your slivers that you play. Let's dive in. Here's what we know about where slivers came from. Nothing. Well, at least at the beginning of Magic's canon. We will get into some more present revelations at the end of the video, so stay tuned until the end. Their home plane has never been identified in Magic's canon. No planeswalker has ever visited it and returned to tell the tale. No story has ever revealed their point of origin. For decades, slivers existed in Magic's lore as a complete mystery. Creatures that appeared on Rath without explanation. But we can piece together what they are. Slivers are an alien species unlike anything else in the multiverse. They're not individuals, they're nodes in a network. Every sliver possesses a morphological link to every other sliver near it. When one sliver develops an adaptation, poisonous spines, armored plating, the ability to fly, that trait is instantly shared across the entire swarm through psychic resonance. This isn't magic, it's biology. Evolutionary advantage compressed into real-time adaptation. A single sliver is dangerous. Two slivers sharing abilities are deadly. A swarm of slivers becomes an unstoppable force, each one amplifying the others, creating cascading synergies that overwhelm any defense. You don't fight slivers, you survive them, but just barely if you do. And somewhere in the multiverse, there exists a world where slivers evolved naturally, a plane where they're the apex predator, where everything else is prey. We'll return to that world later. First, we need to talk about how the multiverse discovered slivers, and for that, we need to talk about Volrath. The year is 4205 AR in Dominarian Reckoning. The plane of Rath exists as an artificial overlay plane, a staging ground for the Phyrexian invasion of Dominaria. Volrath rules as Evankar, the supreme commander appointed by Yawgmoth himself. Volrath is brilliant, cruel, ambitious, and he's searching for weapons. At some point during his rule, Volrath discovers slivers. The lore doesn't explain how. Perhaps he stumbled upon them during a planeswalking journey before he lost his spark. Perhaps Phyrexia provided them. Perhaps they were already on Rath when he arrived. The details are lost to history. What matters is what Volrath does next. He brings a Sliver Queen to Rath. The Queen, the most powerful sliver, the central node of the hive, the mother of all others. Under Volrath's control, the Queen begins producing slivers. Organic ones at first, natural variants with claws, wings, armor, and venom. But Volrath wasn't satisfied with nature. He creates metallic slivers, armor sliver, tube sliver, mind whip sliver, mnemonic sliver. These aren't evolved, they're created and they're engineered. Volrath grafts metal plating onto living slivers, creating hybrid organisms that combine biological adaptability with mechanical enhancement. Why? Because Volrath is paranoid. He's been tasked with guarding the Legacy, a collection of artifacts crucial to Phyrexia's plans, but he doesn't trust anyone, not even Phyrexia. So he deploys slivers throughout the stronghold, his fortress, as living security systems. Slivers patrol the furnace of Rath, the Mog tunnels, the catacombs. They guard the Predator, Volrath's living airship. They're everywhere, an omnipresent threat to anyone who isn't Volrath. The Weatherlight crew, Gerard, Miri, Stark, and the others, encounter slivers during their mission to rescue Captain Sisay. The creatures are nightmares, fast, coordinated, each one more dangerous than the last as they swarm together. The crew barely survives. But Volrath's plan backfires. When the Rathi Overlay occurs, When Rath is transported to Dominaria and overlaid onto the plane as part of the Phyrexian invasion, the Slivers come too, and Volrath loses control of them. Rath overlays onto Dominaria, merging with the plane in the region of Urborg. Mountains appear where there were none, forests materialize, and thousands of slivers are dumped into Urborg swamps. The Sliver Queen is somewhere among them. Cut off from Volrath, no longer controlled, the slivers do what they were designed to do: survive and multiply. Urborg becomes infested. The swamps teem with slivers. They reproduce rapidly. They adapt to their new environment, and they spread. Dominaria has never seen anything like them. Native creatures flee or die. The ecosystem buckles under their pressure. Slivers don't just exist in an environment, they dominate it. They're invasive in the most literal sense, crowding out everything else. But then something crazy happens. The Phyrexian invasion ends. Yawgmoth is defeated, Dominaria is saved, and in the aftermath, as the plane begins to heal, the slivers remain. Somewhere in Urborg swamps, the hive endures. 100 years pass. 100 years after the Phyrexian invasion, Dominaria is recovering, and in the continent of Otaria, a group of ambitious wizards makes a discovery. Sliver remains in the ruins of the stronghold in Urborg. The Riptide Project, founded by Empress Lawan to repair relations between surface dwellers in the Mer Empire, discovers these fossils and becomes obsessed. They study the morphology. They analyze the psychic resonance. They theorize about the evolutionary advantages, and they make a catastrophic decision. They resurrect the Slivers. But there's a problem. They don't have a queen. The wizards successfully clone Slivers from the fossils. The creatures come to life. They begin sharing abilities as expected. But without a queen to anchor the hive, to provide central intelligence and direction, the Slivers are wrong. They're feral, mindless, aggressive beyond reason. A normal Sliver swarm operates with terrifying coordination. Each member functions as a part of a distributed intelligence. The queen provides guidance, strategy, and purpose. Without her, the Riptide Slivers are rabid animals with the power of a hive mind and no instinct except destruction. The wizards lose control almost immediately. The Slivers escape containment. They spread across the region. They attack anything that moves. The Riptide Project collapses in chaos. Its facilities overrun, its researchers slaughtered or fleeing. But the damage is done. Slivers are loose on Dominaria again. And these ones are even more dangerous because they have no purpose, no direction, only endless hunger and the biological imperative to swarm. Time passes. Dominaria fractures under temporal rifts. The plane is dying, reality itself tearing apart, and in this chaos, the Slivers evolve. During the time spiral block, we see Slivers that have changed. They're larger, more diverse, and crucially, they've developed sentience. The Sliver Legion appears, not a creature but a concept. The collective consciousness of all Slivers crystallized into a singular entity. The Legion isn't a queen, it's the hive itself becoming aware. These Slivers don't need a queen to coordinate. They are coordination. They think as one. They act as one. They've transcended their original purpose as Volrath's weapons and become something far more dangerous, an intelligent swarm with the ability to evolve in real time. Slivers during this era show incredible diversity. Virulent Sliver introduces poisonous attacks. Psionic Sliver grants mental powers. Dormant Sliver can trap enemies. Fury Sliver embodies pure aggression. Each new adaptation spreads through the Legion instantly. But more importantly, the Slivers gain purpose. They're no longer mindless consumers. They're a civilization, a hive mind species that sees other forms of life as inferior and as obstacles. They see them as resources to be consumed or eliminated. The Legion doesn't want to survive, it wants to conquer. This is the moment Slivers transform from biological weapons to existential threats. Because a mindless swarm can be stopped. A thinking swarm with infinite adaptability, that's something apocalyptic. Then everything changed. Magic 2014 introduced Slivers to a new plane, Chandalar, and these Slivers looked different. Instead of the hunched alien insectoid creatures players knew, these Slivers stood upright. They had humanoid proportions. They looked like people wearing Sliver costumes, and the community hated it. The mechanical change was just as controversial. Before M14, Slivers gave their abilities to all Slivers on the battlefield, yours and your opponents. This created bizarre board states where both players' slivers grew stronger together. It was flavorful. It represented the hive mind perfectly. All slivers are one. M14 changed that. Now slivers only buff your own. Sliver creatures you control have, instead of all sliver creatures have. Why the change? From a game design perspective, it was simpler. New players found it confusing that their opponent's slivers got stronger when they played one. From a lore perspective, Wizards explained these were different slivers, a different subspecies, not connected to the Dominarian hive. But the damage was done. Players felt like Wizards had stripped away what made slivers special. The uncanny alien horror was gone, replaced with something that looked like it belonged in a Saturday morning cartoon. The humanoid design was eventually walked back. Later sets returned to the classic hunched, inhuman sliver appearance, but the mechanical change stuck. Slivers now only buff your own in most new printings of the archetype. For years, the origin of slivers remained a mystery. Then, Commander Masters released in 2023 with a new legendary creature, the Sliver Gravemother. And with her came a story. The Sliver Gravemother's flavor text and associated lore revealed the truth about the Sliver homeplane. Not in explicit detail, but in fragments, enough to understand what happened when the pieces were put together. On their homeworld, slivers weren't apex predators. They were beasts of burden. Some other species, we don't really know what they were, discovered slivers and domesticated them. They used the hive's adaptability for labor. Slivers built things, carried things, and served. But the hive never forgot what it was. Slivers aren't meant to serve. They're meant to consume, to adapt, to overwhelm. And when the opportunity came, they revolted. The uprising was absolute. The species that enslaved them was eradicated. The slivers claimed the plane for themselves. They became the dominant force, the only force. The homeplane became a sliver world, every ecosystem reshaped to serve the hive. And somewhere on that plane, in a pit of writhing bodies and discarded chitin, the Sliver Gravemother emerged, born from death, a creature that embodies the hive's relationship with extinction, both the extinction they inflict and the extinction they've survived. The Gravemother doesn't just create slivers, she resurrects them. When slivers die, she pulls them back, reanimates them, and returns them to the swarm. The hive doesn't just adapt, it refuses to die. This revelation recontextualizes everything. Slivers aren't just biological weapons Volrath found. They're refugees from a conquered world, survivors of enslavement who became conquerors themselves, a species that learned the most important lesson in the multiverse: never stop evolving. In the most recent in-universe storyline, Edge of Eternities introduced a strange footnote to Sliver lore. In the Edge, the pocket universe outside the traditional multiverse, slivers don't exist, at least not as real creatures. They're fictional. They appear in horror movies and stories as nightmare monsters. Animal folk and Sathera watch sliver films the way we watch alien invasion movies. It's a meta-commentary. Slivers have become myth within Magic's own fiction. They're the boogeyman, the existential threat that people tell stories about. But here's the terrifying implication. If slivers exist in the multiverse, and the Edge has stories about them, does that mean slivers have reached the Edge? Have they spread beyond the blind eternities into other realities? Or are the stories a warning, a premonition of what's coming? The lore doesn't answer yet. It just leaves the question hanging, because that's what slivers are. A question with no answer, a threat with no clear solution, and a swarm that cannot be stopped, only survived. Slivers are one of Magic's most enduring and terrifying creations. From their mysterious origins to their role as Volrath's weapons on Rath, from the feral resurrection by the Riptide Project to the sentient Legion of Time Spiral, from the controversial redesign in M14 to the revelation of their home plane through the Sliver Gravemother. They represent biological horror at its finest, the fear of being overwhelmed, the terror of facing something that grows stronger with every member, that adapts faster than you can counter, that thinks as one and acts with perfect coordination. Slivers don't have kings or queens anymore. They are the hive. They are the swarm. They are the Legion. And somewhere in the multiverse, on a plane whose name we'll never know, the original hive still exists, growing, evolving, and waiting. Because slivers don't just survive, they conquer, and they've only just begun. If you like this tale of Magic slivers, again, don't forget to like and subscribe. It doesn't take much time from you, but it really helps the channel, and we really do appreciate it. Every like and subscription and comment means the world to us as we create these videos. Comment down below your favorite Sliver card. Also, let me know which commander is your favorite. I know there are a few Sliver commanders. I would love to hear which one you guys love the most. Until next time, we'll dive in again soon.